Good morning, everybody. Happy November to you all. Um, so, I'm going to be doing my book reviews for October. I had a great lineup of books. I read 10 books and one short story. I won't bother with the short story. The first one I read was Richie Tankersley Cusick's Trick or Treat. It was on Kindle, so I don't have a book to show you, but if it ever comes out on paperback, I will more than likely end up reading it. But basically what happens in this is our main character, Martha, and her father are on their own because she lost her mom. Well, her father remarries, and they have to leave. They end up leaving Chicago and moving out to the country to some spooky old house. And she gets this really dark room, and she's pretty sure it's possessed, or something happened there that was bad. So anyway, she's got a stepbrother as well, and their parents leave to go do their honeymoon thing, and the two of them start discovering stuff. So that's pretty much the premise, the whole idea of the story. It was really good. Richie Tankersley Cusick has a way of bringing her readers to the climax of a story very slowly. So she's really good at building up the story, and you're just like, ooh, come on, what's going on, and you can kind of feel the air of the creepiness. And I mean, I've read 3 of her books now, and all 3 of them were that way, and she keeps me on the edge of my seat all the time. Cusick is a young adult author, but she's really, really good. So she's one of the few that I read. Next on the list was, which I didn't read them back to back, but Harlan Coben's Shelter. And the second one, Seconds Away. These are 2 of them. The third one is not out. I'm not sure. I think it'll be within the next couple of years. But Shelter and Seconds Away is his young adult series with Mickey Bolitar. If you've ever read any Coben, he writes adult and young adult both. In one of his adult ones, besides his standalones, is Myron Bolitar. Myron Bolitar is actually Mickey's uncle. And basically what happens in the story is that Mickey sees his father die. There's a whole big mystery surrounding it. He's now living with his uncle, and he's trying to figure out who the Bat Lady is and what she's about. He has to go to a new school, and he has to meet all these new people. And one of my favorite characters in this book is Emma, she's kind of an outcast. She's kind of a emo-ish kind of girl. Nobody likes her, and he takes up with her, and they become great friends, like it's her best friend. And they're trying to figure out the mystery of the Bat Lady because she tells him that his father's not dead, and there's a whole lot of mystery surrounding this story. Also, when he gets to the school, he gets a new girlfriend. They're dating for a very short time, and she disappears. I mean, there's a lot of mystery in this series. And then there's also a lot of mystery that surrounds Emma, and it comes through in Seconds Away. So you get to learn a little bit more about Emma and why she's so mysterious. But I'm not gonna tell you a whole lot more. But it's a series worth reading. He's a young adult series, so check it out if you get a chance to. I've rated them both 4 out of 5 stars, so on Goodreads. Ugh. I need more room around here. Okay, so the next one that I read was And She Was by Allison Galen. This was it was a little iffy to start. This was the first time that I read anything by Allison Galen. But I had actually come across them on Goodreads, and I'm like, oh, that sounds really good. And I just happened to find both of them. The other one is Into the Dark, which I have not read yet. I plan on reading it sometime so I can finish up what happened in the story. Basically, in the story, Brenna, she has this neurological disorder where she can recall every detail down to the second and the minute of her life. And the only thing she can't remember is when her sister climbed into the stranger's car. She doesn't remember any details other than that. So it's pretty much basically about that and the car that was involved, because another little girl disappears when Brenna's older, and now she's a detective, and she actually investigates missing persons. I mean, she jumped into that as soon as, after all that stuff that happened with her sister. Anyway, another little girl disappears, and the woman that was caring for the girl, or she knew something about the girl, ends up disappearing later, but apparently the same car was used. And this is 20 years later. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of mystery surrounding the story. It was like I said, it was a little iffy in the beginning, but then it slowly got better. So, when I continue on with this one, I'll let you know how it turns out, because I believe it's just these two books. The next book I read, and I don't even have it sitting here, I must have put it back, Richard Lehman's Night in the Lonesome October. This book was bad. Richard Lehman, anyway, I like Richard Lehman. I'm one of the people that does like Richard Lehman. But he's actually one of those authors that you're either going to love him or you're going to hate him. And I happen to really like his stuff, but this book was just bad. The story goes, this guy gets dumped by his girlfriend. Obviously, it's October. And he decides, because he's got a broken heart, he wants to go take a walk. And he meets a really interesting girl. And then weird things just happen every night that he goes out. And that's pretty much basically what the story's about. Stephen King, Dr. Sleep. This was a fantastic read. The only thing that I gotta say about this is it is a sequel to The Shining. The Shining 2 was a fabulous read. I read that one twice. And the second time that I read it was almost like a totally new experience for me, because I didn't retain a whole lot of, stuff about the book. But anyway, the one thing that you've got to realize is The Shining was not actually about the motel, Overlook Motel. It was about The Shining. And that's what I had to come to terms with, because this book is not about the Overlook at all. Now, in The Shining, everything happens in the motel. And that's what it was based around. And that's what I wanted this to be. I wanted it to be about the motel and what else goes on and what else happens. So the story goes, Dan grows up. Now he's an adult, and he still has The Shining. And it can be a standalone book, but The Shining helps you come to realize what Danny's life was like growing up, and what The Shining's about, and this. Anyway, so that's what this book is mainly about, is The Shining. And as long as you can get away from that, this is just not about the motel. And that's what I was thinking when I first started reading it. And the further you go, you come to realize, wait a minute, The Shining wasn't supposed to be about the motel either. It's about The Shining. So, here comes Dr. Sleep. Really good book. I love Dan's character. As he grows up, he's a great person. He's flawed. He does stuff like, he learns and he meets people, and he grows on you from the first one. When he's just a child, you're like, oh, that poor kid. And now he's grown up, and it's like, he turned out to be, a great character. And Abra is also a favorite of mine in this book. And just read it, give it a go. It's a great book. It's worth the read. Stephen King, my favorite all-time author. Anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling on about it. But this was a really good book, so Check it out. If you haven't already bought it, go buy it. So, the next one that I read, Bentley Little, The Vanishing. Another disappointment. Another book that I feel like I've wasted the whole time on reading. Bentley Little is another one of those authors that you're either going to like or you're not going to like, in my opinion. He's had some good books, and then he's had some not so good books. This one was not good at all. Called The Vanishing. It's about a businessman who kills his family. He leaves a video and a note saying this is where it starts. Then children start missing and children are being killed, and there's a reporter who's trying to figure out what's going on. I'm not sure. I guess it's called The Vanishing because of disappearing kids. I don't know, but it really didn't do a whole lot of focusing on that. You can read it and form your own opinion. This is mine. So the next one I read, Harlan Coben's Caught. Fantastic book. It was really good. This one I rated a 4 out of 5. Harlan Coben is a new favorite author for me. He's got it. It's your basic mystery. You got a detective, and you got the bad guy. Really, what happens is there's a reporter. Her name is Wendy. And she's got this, like, sting operation online where she's targeting sexual predators in, like, the chat rooms and stuff. And Dan gets set up. He walks into the trap. And it goes from there. But there's a lot of mystery in this book. And I always thought, oh, I got it nailed now. And then something else would happen and would totally change my mind. So, really good book. Check out Coben. Like I said earlier, I read Shelter and Seconds Away, his young adult one. This is one of his adult standalone book. Really good book. So if you get a chance to read anything of Coben, check them out because they are really very good. For me, next was Preston and Child, Still Life with Crows. This isn't a part of a series, but the series, there's like just little bits of other books that get passed into another book. This one is the best one to read standalone. It's actually book number 4 in the Pendergast series. And I read this as a buddy read with somebody. And this is the first time I read a Preston and Child. I only have 3 books. Most of the ones that they write together is a series book. This book, I'm not going to say they're not good writers because they are fairly decent writers. The only problem that I had is the main character, Pendergast. He's too perfect. I like my characters to be flawed, to be, have issues of their own, to work through those issues, learn from them. He's just perfect from the start, and it's annoying to me, and I don't know why. I don't like a perfect character. It just kind of ruined it for me. It seemed like everybody bows down to do stuff for him, and it's just, I guess it's just their way of making a good detective or a good FBI agent or whatever. The story itself was pretty good. The characters what slowed me down, I think, and it made the book seem boring for me. The further I read, the better it got, and I got past this hang-up I've got on perfect characters. So anyway, it is worth reading. I don't know if I'll read any other ones because this is part of the Pendergast series, and that's the main character, Pendergast. So, I don't know if I'll be reading any more of them or not. But, yeah. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The premise of the story is fantastic. There's a lot of mystery. Just need a different FBI agent. Anyway, this last book, and I just did a video on this. House of Leaves. I finally did finish the book, and it remained exhausting. You can look up the video I did on this book. The book is very original. There's no other book that I know of that is like this book, but I did not really enjoy it. there were some good parts to the book. And like I said in the other video, there's two different stories running parallel to each other in this story. It's all focused on the House of Leaves. The house can change size, dimensions, its appearance. It can change all of this stuff. And these people are trying to figure out what's with the House of Leaves. It is not scary. I read other reviews where people said, "Oh, I was told to read this because it's really scary." It's really not. There's really not anything scary. It's just mind-boggling is what it is. It's completely mind-boggling. And I don't know if that was the author's intent, Mark Z. Danielewski. I don't know if that was his intent, was for us to want to pull our hair out. But, yeah, I feel like I just wasted my time with this one, too. Like I said, there was really good parts, but there was so much analytical stuff in here. Like, there was, I kid you not, there was page after page describing what an echo is. I know what an echo is. And this just analyzed it, like, broke it down, and I'm like, oh. And that's really where the first turnoff started for me with this book. And there's so much of it in here. It felt like college lesson / medical journal / story. And if they would have taken out the other two and put more story, it would have been far more enjoyable. But, and there was so much hoopla and hype about this book. And I can remember going, gosh, please, just get done. Let's get done. Let's get done. And I'm sitting there thinking, what is the hype about this story? I'm not feeling it. And I was so worn out by the time I finished it. I did not read for 2 days because, it wiped me out. So, everybody's going to get something different from the book. If you have the book, give it a go. Give it a go and figure out what you feel about the book. And then let me know what you felt about the book. Because I was worn out, completely exhausted. My head was spinning. And I'm like, what did I just read? That's what this was for me. So, that's it. That's all my books for October. It was not a total waste of time. I had some really good stories. There was 3 of them that was not so good. But I had a pretty decent October. Loved them. Enjoyed them a lot. Besides those 3. Well, you know what? You're not always going to have great books every time you read a book. So, stay tuned, guys, for more reviews, more whatever. I'm going to come up with some more ideas. So stay tuned. Thanks to all of my subscribers for subscribing. And we'll talk to you again soon. I hope everybody's Halloween was great, and I hope you have a great November. Bye.